Dr. Koenigsbacher, will you explain the principle of this machine and how it is that you can dry a book in it?
I'll be very happy to. The principle is a simple one. The books are frozen until they are completely hard, and then the water is sublimed out by pulling a high vacuum on the frozen books. This is a principle that was developed originally for the drying of whole blood during the Second World War and is now being used for very sensitive biological materials and foods.
Can you give us an example that most people would know?
There are new cereals on the market together with fruits, and I think most of the fruits that go with the cereals are dried by this particular process today. Also, some of the antibiotics that we take when we have the flu or some other viruses dried by this means.
Well, let's have a look at the book now.
Very good.
As far as you know, has this method ever been used to dry books before?
No, the best of our knowledge, this is a first time that this has been attempted, and we're very happy because it looks very promising. This fire was a great tragedy, and anything we can do to help restore the books certainly is worthwhile.
Do you know whose idea it was in the first place?
I think it was suggested by Mrs. Horton, who is a consultant in the book restoring field, who actually called us in as experts in the field.
Well, now, the book looks to me, although it's obviously a very old book, it looks to be in good shape. Can you tell us sort of what hasn't happened that you were afraid might have?
Well, the big problem you have is when the book is wet, the pages tend to stick together. And the trick is to dry the book without having to pry the pages apart. Now, this I think we have been able to accomplish. And the effect is that the pages, once they're dry, come apart very readily, as you can see here.
Of course, all of the books will have to be rebound, but it's the printed page itself that's of great value, is it not?
That is correct.
Well, now, in your little machine here, you can only do 2 or 3 books at a time. Is there any possibility of a big commercial outfit lending their facilities to the seminary?
Everybody has been very good, and I know General Foods is considering offering their pilot plant facilities in Tarrytown for this purpose. Up there, we could probably do about 130 books a day. Obviously, that's still too little.
Well, now, what are they doing in the meantime with the books to prevent them mildewing while they find some way to dry them?
This may sound ridiculous, but what is being done, the books are being quick frozen. As long as the books are frozen, there is no problem with molds or mildew. There are too many books. They cannot be sprayed with a mold inhibitor. Number one, because of sheer number, which is about 10,000. Secondly, you can't get the pages apart. And unless you spray it on every page or every other page, there's just no point in doing it.
So they'd be too wet anyway.
Well, that would not bother it. These materials do work in the wet state. But this is a much better way to quick freeze them, and then you can literally hold them frozen until you're ready to dry.
Is this an expensive process?
Not for something like this. Considering food products, yes, it is an expensive process. For pharmaceuticals, no, it is not considered to be unduly expensive. It costs about between 5 and 10 cents to remove a pound of water by this process. It would be impossible to calculate what it would cost on a book. The process was not developed for this kind of thing.
But you've made great discoveries.
Well, we hope so. Certainly it's been very interesting. We've learned a lot. To the best of our knowledge, nobody's tried to do this before, and of course what pleases us most is that it seems to work. If it didn't work, well, there would be no purpose in doing it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Dr. Koenigsbacher, can you explain to us how this machine of yours can dry the books? Can you give us an example that would be familiar to most people? As far as you know, has this method ever been used on books? Well, although it's obviously a very old book, it appears to be in fairly good shape. Can you explain what doesn't happen by this method that you were afraid might happen? Is it an expensive process? Whose idea was it in the first place, do you know?